So, welcome back to Tales Tomorrow. I am Morrow, your storyteller for today, and with me I have some RPG horror stories of various different variety. Looking forward to reading them together. Anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and begin. My first time playing D&D ended in a distaste for months. This was my first time trying D&D, and I've gotten back into it since then, but for a solid couple of months after this incident, I felt a dislike to this funny math rock game. Disclaimer, this contains a bit of attempt of SA and mentions of sex, also violence, but Reddit only let me add one flair, I don't know. Meet the party. Me, Elf Paladin. I'll be known as OP when addressed. DM, an old guy who's really good at DMing. Red, the problem player, a real creep, and made some advances. He was also playing as a tiefling bard. Green, a real nice guy just trying to enjoy the game. He was playing a gnome wizard. Pink, the only other girl beside me. She was like the caretaker of sorts for our group. She was playing a dragonborn cleric. I was asked during a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament at my local game store if I heard of D&D. I had replied that I haven't, but it seemed interesting. He asked me to come by Wednesday at 7 to come check it out. Next week comes, and I arrive to this table and greet DM, the person who invited me. I introduced myself to Red, Green, and Pink. I sat down right in between Green and Red, opposed of DM and Pink. This is essentially our session 0, and I'd stood near DM for most of it. Didn't realize this until later, but the Red was checking me out. Learning D&D and making my first character. She was an elf paladin, as previously mentioned by her backstory, was that she had taken an oath to her god in order to be recognized by her peers in elven society. Session 1 rolls around and we get placed in a tavern and introduce ourselves. Red was looking at me very intently while I was talking and interacted with me a lot during the session, even though I was nervous and couldn't think of anything to say. DM made us do a basic side quest for saving a caravan under attack in our way to the next town. On the way, Red kept trying to flirt with my character and reference some interesting things not made for people such as myself, who were minors at the time. I was 16, it was very uncomfortable. I was told by a lot of people at my high school that I looked like I was over 16, but I didn't think people would act like that in a fantasy RPG. OP, you have no idea. There are a lot of... It sucks that there's so many fun things you can find out there, and they're creeps in a specific hobby or interest. I'm not sure if any of y'all have ever heard of this game called VR Chat, but I regularly play it, and while there's like 99.999% of people that are really cool and really great, there's the few that kind of make VR Chat look like a cesspit. Green has tried to defuse Red's movement in-game, and with his chair nudging closer when I wasn't paying attention, DM kept moving us along until we made it to town. We ended our session there. I was invited to a Discord server that had all of us and had more in it. I introduced myself and changed my nickname in the server to match the introduction. Someone who later informed me they were Red and asked me all sorts of questions, like my favorite color, hobbies, interests, how the FSU life was. I didn't go to FSU at the point, that was just a jacket I got past that I decided to wear, and informing him that he seemed to be a bit more creepy somehow, asking what school I went to then. After informing him that I went to the insert school name here, he responded with something along the lines of, "You must be quite young then, ah?" I just replied, "Yes," and then made an excuse to stop talking to him. I was fairly weirded out, but I decided to come to the next session. Boy, was that a bad idea. Yeah, rule number 1 with these sort of things, just in case, no matter how old you are, keep what you do and who you are to strangers online at a bare minimum, especially if you're underage, especially. Your anonymity is your biggest and best friend. Even if people are wondering about sort of things like that, like, oh, what school did you go to, what college you go to, just don't tell them, I ain't gonna tell you, or, oh, just a local college. Just keep it vague, alright? Because weirdos will do weird things with the information you give them. You want to tell them, like, about your favorite color, it's like, my favorite color is red because it's tiefling, then yeah, you go ahead and do that. But anything that's like concrete personal information, keep it on a very down low. And even as an adult, like, I'm an adult, I prefer my anonymity, so I'm gonna tell people the very bare minimum of like anything about me. Session 2, the last straw. I showed up Wednesday to find that I was left next to Red and Pink today. Red, as per usual, made more moves to my elf, but she was having none of it. Until the point out of game, Red asked why she was being rude to his character and wouldn't just date him and have some naughty fun time in a different set of words. That's a really good censorship, by the way. Thank you, I appreciate it. It makes the whole thing much easier with YouTube overlords. I'd asked to use the bathroom to calm myself down. I have this unique way of calming myself down where I just sit in a quiet place and it makes me calmer. Until Red had excused himself and was following me because the bathrooms were next to each other and out of view from the table. I'd gone into the bathroom and after a bit of time, Red had come in and I hadn't realized until I escaped my stall and saw him staring at me, eyes gleaming of his imagination. This guy just walked into the bathroom? What the fuck? Call the police right now. Call the police right now and arrest the man. He started to walk towards me. Started saying how his character had always wanted to bone mine. And the same could be said for both of us out of game. Ew, fucking gross, dude. Creep. He got way too close to me, so I let it. My 6-year Taekwondo training on his ass and knocked him senseless. After escaping the bathroom and alarming the others of this, we called the police and kept him in the bathroom. We explained the situation to the police and how I was a minor. He got charged with attempted sexual assault of a minor. After pressing charges, I let my lawyer do that pro. I got into therapy and came back a more reserved and withdrawn. For the next months, I was still traumatized, but a lot less. And now I've come to be much more of a better person. I just thought I could share my own horror story to you all. Thank you, kind people of Reddit, even if it wasn't intentional. Good! I'm glad you're able to drop his ass. Honestly, self-defense is something that's just good to know in general. Just being able to know how to protect yourself at any situation is always good. So, good on you. And you used it in a very appropriate way. I don't know how the DM let Red just pass that along. Clearly, these sort of people, I mean, sometimes they hide it really well, but there probably would have been some signs. I can't believe DM didn't notice them. I can't blame it on the DM, but I mean, there must have been some red flags out there that like, yeah, this guy's gonna be kind of creepy to all the women and stuff like that. Unless it was just an out of nowhere incident. Who knows? Maybe the guy was like, man, this is my chance. Yeah. Fucking weirdo. Anyway, let's get to the next one. AITA wanted to use a Gias to help make sure a monster we made a deal with won't murder someone. This is nowhere near as serious as some of the stuff on here, and it didn't actually result in bad blood, thankfully. It just caused a moral debate between myself and the rest of the party. So in the process of clearing out a dungeon, our gang encountered an oblex, a slime creature that can take on the form of other creatures, consuming the memories of its victims to make itself a convincing copy of them, and then use that to subsequently kill and consume more victims. While it was initially hostile towards us, it seemed mostly to be in self-defense. I eventually was more interested in making a deal for us to help it get out of the dungeon. Now, of course, we were worried about letting it leave the dungeon considering, you know, there's more people for it to eat out there. But it agrees that it will only eat corpses that are already present in the woods outside, not any living people. And we inside it and don't seem to get a very vibe that it's lying to us. More importantly, it's currently in the form of 3 quirky kobolds, which is a surefire way to make an evil entity worm its way into a party's heart. So we accept the deal and help it get out of the dungeon and into the woods. I wonder how it like stands as kobolds. Is it like, you know how like in a trench coat, like 3 kobolds in a trench coat kind of way? I think it'd be kind of cute if it did that. That'll also be menacing because it is an oblex that feeds on people's souls and becomes them. Now, we don't tell anyone that we helped an oblex get out in the woods, in spooky forest near the city, because we're aware that these monsters are generally inherently evil and incredibly dangerous, and pretty much everybody would agree what we did was a bad decision, trademark, and even the other members of the party admit that we're about 30 to 70% on trusting them versus not trusting them. Weirdly, I think I'm the member of the party who trusts them the most, since I'm currently not seeing any signs of them being anything other than a quirky monster NPC. But even I'm aware that this could backfire on us. I float the next idea that I could potentially use a sorcerer's subtle spell ability to place a Gias on the oblex without it knowing, forbidding it from killing any innocent person in cold blood. For those who aren't familiar with the spell, it reads as follows. You place a magical command on a creature that you can see within range, forcing it to carry out some service or refrain from some action of course of activity as you decide. If the creature can understand you, it must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or become charmed by you for the duration. When the creature is charmed by you, it takes 5d10 psychic damage each time it acts in a manner directly counter to your instructions, but no more than once each day. Normally I don't prepare gears on principle. Mind control magic is already a gray area ethics-wise, but there's something about not brainwashing someone, but instead functionally holding them at mental gunpoint. If they try to get out of line, that just feels a bit wrong in a way. A spell like suggestion somehow doesn't. Even though it's also an ethics minefield when you think about it. Regardless, it feels to me like this would be understandable use of this spell. If it's a creature that, clearly sentient, but if it's causing a danger where its nature could cause it to just, I don't know, swallow up a random passerby and hurt people and just get more hungry, maybe get more oblex friends to come in and, have the next village as the next buffet. If you really wanted to take care of that, you would have just killed the oblex and be done with it, right? If you really want to get out of the hair. But I think it's more of a better, nicer approach, and maybe you can even make friends, like have this oblex become like an important story NPC at some point, or a great help in the future if you ever need to clean up some bodies or something. I don't know, man. That's I don't know if I'm exactly making sense of it, but I think it's fine. All you're doing is setting a precaution to make sure it doesn't do anything messed up. The party immediately and unanimously disagrees. They all said that it felt very authoritarian, discriminatory, and a lot like pre-punishment, like something out of Minority Report. And I can't see it. The issue with Minority Report is that people in a scenario never actually commit a crime and gets punished before it happens. They never offered a chance to change their course of action and are treated as a criminal before the crime occurs. I agree that's bad and freaked up, but with Gias, the charmed person only triggers a spell if they actually do the thing they're forbidden from doing, which in this case is attempted murder. It's not speculative or pre-crime. The punishment only happens when they have 100% confirmed try to do the thing, and if it tries to kill someone after making an agreement with us, then it wouldn't do that. I fail to see why we're arguing about sympathizing with it at that point. It's also weird to argue that it's being judgmental towards it when party all literally agrees we already don't trust it. It's already under murder suspicion from us. Again, I think I'm actually the one who trusted Oblex the most out of the party, ironically, which is actually why I'm cool with placing the spell on it, because I don't actually believe it would trigger it, but it's better safe than sorry in my opinion. Oblex are a monstrosity, right? There's like an ooze being that can't act on its own nature. If it feels hungry, guess what it's gonna do? It's gonna go feed. And when it's done feeding on corpses, it's gonna find a delicious snack, a deer across the hill, or maybe a nice couple having a picnic. You never know. But if the party is really having a big problem with it, but generally doesn't want to trust it because they think it's gonna kill something, I don't know, build a cage, build a tomb, leave it there forever. Why are you letting go out in the forest in the first place? Leave it inside the tomb or whatever you guys found it. The debate mostly goes in circles, but there were a few other points made about why my plan is a bad idea that I had to refute. It's only 5d10 psychic damage, it won't kill it, and it knows we betrayed it. I'm using subtle spells, so I won't know I cast it. Most I'd have a hunch. 5d10 damage is better than nothing. It wouldn't have betrayed us first. It's only 5d10 physics psychic damage, it won't stop from actually killing a person. Again, it's better than nothing. The hypothetical victim would have a better chance against something that took 5 to 10 psychic damage than something that didn't. You can just keep an eye on it, and if it pops up in new form, we don't recognize it, we ask it where it came from and inside check it. That's assuming it doesn't get a high enough deception check on us. Like, we're level 19, sure, but failure is still possible, to say nothing of the fact that in this scenario it still would have killed someone. It would just be fine with them being our canary in a coal mine. By this logic, why aren't you constantly guessing everyone you meet to not commit cold-blooded murders? Because I don't have that many 5th level spell slots. I don't know, what do y'all think? Good people read it? Am I morphing into some kind of a magical dictator, or is this some pragmatic use of morally gray spell? If it's that much of an issue with the party, I guess at that point it's just be easier to just drop it. I don't know. Listen, you tried, offer up a solution. If the rest of the party disagrees with you, is it really worth trying to debate them further on it? It'd just be like, okay, they don't want to do it. We'll go with your plan. Your plan, you clearly have a better plan. We'll go with your plan instead. I don't think mind control is a great thing to use on player characters or anything with sentience. And while the oblex is sentient, technically, it's, if it's going to be trying to trick people so it can eat more corpses, clearly it's got to hurt people, right? If imprisoning it or putting some sort of a shackle on the oblex in some way. Oblex? Oblex? Am I even saying it correctly? If there's a way to keep the oblex from attacking folks and hurting them, you know, as like a little precautionary measure, even if it doesn't kill it, I think that's okay. I don't think it's a problem. I don't think it's a big deal. Maybe I'm just thinking about it simplistically. Maybe I'm just not seeing the nuance behind it. Since there seems to be a bit of confusion, I'm not debating pulling the oblex under a geas in place of killing it. Nobody in the party currently wants to kill the oblex. We're just aware that we might have to at some point, but we don't plan to unless it breaks our trust. This is not the party wants to kill the oblex versus me. Wanted to go free under geas. It's the party wanting to go free with us, just checking it every now and then, with me wanting to go free under geas. I don't know if this is a, hey, my solution is better, your solution is worse. I don't know. I think it sounds like the party just wants to really take the oblex with them for an adventure. If that's the case, so be it. But let somebody else watch it. You don't have to watch it. I mean, if you're not interested with the plan, it's not like you really need to help out. You have the other party members that can easily inside check it if anything. It's been pointed out that oblexes are both immune to charm, and that geas takes a minute, so you couldn't use it with the subtle spell. Had my gang realized these wrinkles in the plan, we probably would have been spared this whole debate. Oh, never mind, it does not even point to do it. Alright, well, I mean, you have your answer now, so I guess in the future, if there's some sort of discussion that happens like this, and your party is adamant about not doing something, regardless of the reason, it'd just probably be like easier to just go, okay, we won't do it. I don't know. What do y'all think? Do you think it's okay to take an oblex or a similar creature and put a geas or any sort of other restrictions on it in a similar way? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And with that, that's going to be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales Tomorrow. Bye-bye.